From a missed pass interference that changed the Super Bowl.
It was the most egregious missed call in the history of football.
Call the police, we got robbed, did you?
Someone call 911 because we just witnessed a robbery. You saw the catch, right? Everybody did. Well, everybody except the guys wearing stripes. I swear he broke the plane of the goal line. Why are they not challenging that? Or how about the fumble that literally rewrote the NFL record books? I will go to my grave insisting that ball came loose. Oh, and remember the ref who used a literal index card to measure a first down? I have never seen a mistake that wild somehow gift a team a first down. These officials have defined careers, crushed souls, and ignited riots, all with one blow of a whistle. Welcome to NFL Facts. And today we're ranking the 10 worst referee disasters ever, kicking off with that infamous 2018 NFC Championship clash between the Saints and Rams. New Orleans was literally one stop away from the big game. One more play, and Drew Brees would finally get his shot at capturing ring number 2. 70,000 fans were screaming. The energy was electric, and you could feel it. This was the moment. Brees drops back, eyes locked on, Tommy Lee Lewis tearing down the sideline. The pass was perfect, right on time, until Rams cornerback nickel Roby Coleman came flying in like a heat-seeking missile, helmet first, way before the ball got there. It was insane. No laundry on the field. That wasn't just maybe pass interference, that was the textbook definition of it. If they call it, the game is basically over. The whole stadium held its breath, waiting for a flag that never dropped. Players, coaches, fans, and even the announcers in the booth knew exactly what went down. He is absolutely stunned, and so is every single person inside that stadium. Even Roby Coleman admitted later, "Yeah, I got there way too early. I was beat, so I had to do whatever to stop the touchdown." Sean Payton was losing his mind, and rightfully so. It was simple. The refs choked. He said the league told him it was a massive error. They admitted it wasn't just interference. It was also a helmet-to-helmet hit. 2 missed calls on one play. Disbelief doesn't even cover it. The Saints had to settle for a field goal instead of icing the clock, giving L.A. one last breath, and they took it. Jared Goff marched them down to tie it up, and in overtime, after a Brees pick, Greg Zuerlein drilled a 57-yarder to send the Rams to the Super Bowl. The Saints' redemption story? Ruined. Just a year after the Minneapolis Miracle, they get slapped with a nightmare. I can't say exactly what's on my mind, but sweet Lord, they really stole that one from us. Payton later spilled the tea that the league office privately admitted they messed up big time. We talked right after, and then I followed up. And the first thing Al Riveron told me was, "We blew it." But an apology doesn't change the score. The Rams went to face the Patriots, and the Saints went home. And the Super Bowl we got? The lowest scoring snooze fest in history. A 13-3 bore that robbed us of the Brees versus Brady showdown we all deserved. All because of one blown call. A mistake so bad that fans were literally filing lawsuits trying to get the game replayed. It got so toxic the NFL actually changed the rulebook. For the first time, teams could challenge pass interference. It lasted one season because it was a total disaster that everyone hated. But that just proves how colossal that screw-up was. For the Saints, that was the last real window as Drew Brees pushed toward 40 years old. And he never did snag that second ring he was chasing. It was glaringly obvious they got cheated. And yet, man, to have a miss that bad in a spot that huge? That stings. That really, really hurts. Jump ahead to the 2025 AFC Championship, and another star QB is hunting for a ring but can't beat the zebra stripes or the league's golden boy. It's Bills versus Chiefs. By this point, Patrick Mahomes was already 3-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs. But this time, Buffalo was inches away from flipping the narrative. Late fourth quarter, hanging on to a 1-point lead, 4th and inches. This is the moment Josh Allen is built for. Snap hits his hands. He lowers the shoulder. The pile surges forward, but then the officials spot the ball and somehow mark him short. I mean, I really think he got there. The crowd is confused. The far side judge signals first down. But then he starts walking back. Wait, they're both moving it back? They had the line to gain easily. The refs brought it back a ton. Gene Steratore in the booth even said, "I felt like he cleared it by a third of the football." Calling it a tough spot is an understatement. Replay took over, but the camera angles were garbage. And when the refs returned, they dropped a bombshell no Bills fan could handle. The call stands, Chiefs ball. After looking at it, the ruling on the field stands first down Kansas City. From our view in the stadium, he definitely had it. Bills head coach Sean McDermott said post-game, just short of the line, was actually a first down. From where I was standing, right next to the marker, the ball was inside the white stripe. It looked like he got it. Moments later, Mahomes made Buffalo pay, driving down for a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to snatch the lead. For the Bills, it was pure déjà vu. Another playoff game against KC, another heartbreaker. But this time, it wasn't a turnover or a bad pass, it was a referee's spot. Is that a massive call? Yeah, absolutely massive. For Josh Allen, this marked 4 straight playoff losses to the same guy. Yeah, you either get it done or you don't. And we didn't. We didn't get it done. And despite all his talent, this questionable call is the reason he's still living in Patrick Mahomes' shadow. But another superstar's legacy was shaken by something so simple yet so crazy, it's mind-blowing. Lambeau Field, January 11th, 2015. The frozen tundra, two 12-4 juggernauts, Cowboys and Packers, colliding for a shot at the NFC crown. Dallas was finally back in the mix. Romo was playing the best ball of his life. DeMarco Murray was the rushing king, and Dez Bryant was a walking highlight reel born for moments like this. 4th and 2, under 5 minutes to go, trailing by 5. Romo takes the snap and launches a high-arcing moonshot through the freezing Wisconsin air. Dez goes up, catches it clean, takes 2 steps, and lunges for the paint as he crashes down. The ball pops loose for a split second, but he pins it to his chest. The Zebras were glued to the monitors, breaking down what looked like a textbook reception to everyone watching at home, then strolled back to the 50-yard line. The verdict? No catch. Apparently the receiver didn't survive the ground with the rock. Dez Bryant summed it up perfectly in the locker room later. I had that ball cold on the way down. That counts, right? 1 step, 2 steps, lunge, boom. That is a catch. If you have a pulse and working eyeballs, you know I caught that thing. But thanks to some rulebook mumbo-jumbo nobody gets, it didn't count. Looked to me like he broke the plane of the goal line. Why? Because the league said so. Turnover on downs. Green Bay drained the clock, and the Cowboys' season flatlined right there. Talk about grand larceny. The internet exploded with one hashtag, number Dez caught it. And guess what? Years later, the NFL actually admitted they blew it. Dez absolutely caught it. They even rewrote the rule book because of it. But that didn't fix a broken heart. The Cowboys' window slammed shut, and Dez's golden years started to fade. One of his highlight reel plays turned into a massive what if, all thanks to some wacky regulation almost as crazy as the infamous Tuck rule. Everyone knows the officials have a soft spot for Tom Brady, and January 2002 is the smoking gun. Raiders and Patriots, snowy Foxborough, locked in a 13-10 slugfest in the 4th. Brady drops back, and wham! Charles Woodson, his old college buddy, blindsides him. Ball hits the snow. Raiders recover. Game over, right? Not so fast. They decide to go under the hood, inside the 2-minute warning, to see if Brady's arm was moving. Looked like a clear fumble to me. Brady had tucked that pigskin back into his body. He wasn't throwing, but thanks to a loophole called the Tuck rule, the refs ruled it an incomplete pass because his arm was technically moving forward. Incomplete. Patriots keep the ball. Minutes later, Adam Vinatieri somehow kicks a 45-yard laser through a blizzard to tie it, then wins it in overtime. That one weird call didn't just save the game, it kick-started the biggest dynasty in football history. Raiders fans screamed robbery, and honestly, I'm with them. That call was total garbage, never should have been flipped. Coach John Gruden admitted it still makes him nauseous. The guy practically falls to his knees just hearing the words, Tuck rule. I'll take it to my grave that was a fumble. The photos speak for themselves. You can see exactly what went down. Raiders owner Al Davis went ballistic. He was convinced the league had a vendetta against him. I know the head of officiating is still out there trying to spin this yarn that the Tuck rule made sense. Give me a break. It is ridiculous. Tensions got so high, Gruden got shipped to Tampa Bay, where he'd actually beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl a year later. The league finally scrapped the rule in 2013, but way too late. So, if a quarterback is clutching the ball with 2 hands and gets stripped, does the new rule make that a fumble? Oh yeah, that is a fumble every day of the week. Always has been. But that snowy night in New England didn't just change the rules, it rewrote history. It killed the Raiders' momentum and birthed the Brady era. Hey, didn't I hear you admit it? Yes. That you were pulling the ball back to your body? The intent was there because the ball was coming back, absolutely, which technically means, yeah, it was a fumble. Fast forward 10 years, and the NFL is in hot water again, this time under the bright lights of Monday Night Football. Packers versus Seahawks. Aaron Rodgers, rookie Russell Wilson. An instant classic that devolved into total anarchy. This was the peak of the replacement ref disaster. The league was in a standoff with the real refs, so they hired guys from Division III schools and high school fields to call pro games. Final play. Seattle is down 12-7. Wilson scrambles and chucks a desperate prayer into a crowd in the end zone. Packers safety MD. Jennings skies for it, catches it clean, and hugs it to his chest. Golden Tate flies in late, wrestling for it, and suddenly two refs sprint over. One signals incomplete, the other signals touchdown. How Jennings didn't get credit for the interception is a mystery to me. After an agonizing review, they stick with the call. Touchdown Seattle. Game over. 14-12. The ruling on the field stands. Seahawks steal the win in the wildest finish you will ever witness. I have no clue what they were watching. 1. Tate blatantly shoved Sam Shields in the back, obvious pass interference. 2. Jennings had the ball wrapped up. Total nonsense. Don't even ask me about the officiating. Let's just keep it real. When the smoke cleared, the Fail Mary was born. Aaron Rodgers called it a disgrace. The fact they even reviewed it and still got it wrong? Terrible. That is all I am saying. TJ Lang tweeted, "Fine me," and said use the cash to pay the real refs. That became the most retweeted post in history at the time. Even President Obama called it awful. Behind the scenes, the NFL was drowning in 70,000 angry voicemails. Vegas estimated over $300 million in bets flipped on that one play. 2 days later, the NFL caved. The lockout ended. Sorry for putting the fans through that, basically. Our bad, everyone. But while the Fail Mary showed how one bad call can wreck a season, this next one wrecked a legacy. Rewind to 1999. The Packers are on the losing end of another botched call. Playoffs against Steve Young and the Niners, part 4 of their 5-year rivalry. San Fran had lost 3 straight postseasons to Green Bay and was desperate to flip the script. Late fourth quarter, trailing 27-23, Young fires a bullet over the middle to Jerry Rice, the most reliable hands in the game. But as Rice turns upfield, Packers linebacker Bernardo Harris and safety Scott McGarrahan hammer the ball loose. It hits the turf. Green Bay pounces on the loose ball. That's a wrap. Or at least, that's what logic dictates. The pack is screaming turnover, but the guys in stripes? They aren't buying it. Instead, the officials signal that Rice was down by contact. But let's be real, there is massive skepticism about whether his knee actually scraped the turf before that pigskin popped loose. It was a cough-up. I don't buy the down call for a second. Absolutely not. Look closely, the knee is airborne while the ball is ejecting. That is a textbook fumble. But here is the kicker. The league had ditched the replay system years prior, so nobody could double-check the tape. So, even though the TV audience saw the ball clearly separate before Rice hit the deck, the ruling on the field was set in stone. It was an obvious turnover. Packers GM Ron Wolf was absolutely livid inside the quiet post-game locker room. He knew they recovered it. The contest should have ended right there. Taking an L is always bitter, but when you execute a game-winning stop in the playoffs and the officials essentially steal it from you, that indicates a fundamental flaw in the whole operation. It was a disaster that demanded a fix. Leroy Butler kept it 100% real, too. When the press asked if they got cheated, his answer was a simple, absolutely. A few plays later, Steve Young nearly trips dropping back, recovers, and lasers a pass down the seam where Terrell Owens, draped in coverage, snags the reception of his career. Screaming, he held on. Unbelievable, he caught it. Touchdown San Francisco. They call it the catch-2 for a reason. However, that botched fumble call was the final straw that bullied the NFL into reinstating instant replay the very next season. Let's be honest, though. Without that massive officiating error regarding Jerry Rice's fumble, Steve Young never gets that shot at redemption. That moment birthed the era of the red challenge flag, changing how the sport is officiated forever. Naturally, a challenge flag is useless if the officials throw a penalty marker and then just pick it up, leaving you high and dry. That is precisely the nightmare scenario from the NFC wildcard showdown between Detroit and Dallas. 3rd and 1, Cowboys 46-yard line. Matthew Stafford looks deep, targeting his tight end Brandon Pettigrew sprinting up the seam. Stafford lets it fly, but linebacker Anthony Hitchens is all over Pettigrew, spinning him around before the ball even gets there. Pass falls incomplete. Yellow laundry hits the grass. It looked obvious. Textbook defensive pass interference. But then, mysteriously, the crew waves it off and picks up the marker. It is baffling, simply unbelievable, and everybody saw it. You know exactly what I am talking about. Stafford is throwing his arms up, totally shocked. How on earth do you reverse a call like that without a review? What is the justification? Pettigrew later said he never got an answer, calling it ridiculous because the defender basically ran right through his back. Even Hitchens looked stunned. He got away with it. To make matters worse, Dez Bryant ran onto the field screaming without his helmet on. By rule, that is an automatic 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Yet, the refs ignored that too. Detroit is forced to punt, and everything unravels. A shanked 10-yard kick gifts Dallas prime field position. Tony Romo capitalizes immediately, marching the Cowboys to a go-ahead score, 24-20. Later, NFL officiating boss Dean Blandino confessed Hitchens should have been flagged for defensive holding at a minimum. Listen, I consume a ton of tape and watch countless snaps. You simply cannot swallow the whistle there. But the apology didn't change the score. The Lions were eliminated. The league's unluckiest franchise lost a shot at glory due to a single, baffling decision. You would assume that after such a debacle, the league would get its act together, right? Think again. A couple of years down the road, it got even stranger. This time, the game wasn't decided by a replay or a flag, but by an official holding a piece of stationery. 2017, Sunday Night Football, Cowboys versus Raiders. Fourth quarter, deadlock at 17. Dallas faces a critical 4th and 1. Dak Prescott keeps it on the sneak, jamming into the pile. The spot is incredibly tight. The chain gang comes out for the measurement, and visually, the nose of the ball looks short. Raiders coach Jack Del Rio is already signaling for the change of possession. Suddenly, referee Gene Steratore pulls a move nobody has ever witnessed. He digs into his pocket and produces a folded index card. He gets down on one knee and slides the paper between the football and the first down pole. You can literally see daylight between them, but after a dramatic pause, Steratore stands up and points first down, Dallas. We are sitting right next to Silicon Valley, the tech hub of the universe, and we are using a folded piece of paper to decide the fate of a professional football game. Del Rio was flabbergasted. He saw the gap, yet somehow the officiating crew conjured up a first down out of thin air. If there is space between the pigskin and the marker, the runner is short, possession changes, end of story. Linebacker Navarro Bowman backed him up completely. Even the winning coach, Jason Garrett, looked bewildered, admitting he had never seen a ruling handled like that in his life. They literally measured it by the thickness of a piece of paper. And that bizarre moment was pivotal. The Cowboys continued the drive and nailed the game-winning kick. Post-game, the league office claimed Steratore didn't technically violate protocol. Using the card was unorthodox, but supposedly within the rules. Forget the index card, he should have pulled out a $20 bill and slipped it right into Jack Del Rio's pocket, because that's what it felt like. But the fan base had reached its breaking point with these shenanigans. And in Cleveland, that anger wasn't going to stay in the bleachers. It was about to physically rain down onto the field. Week 14, 2001, the Cleveland Browns are sitting at 6-6, clinging to playoff hopes as they host Jacksonville. Trailing 15-10 with barely a minute on the clock, the Browns are staring at 4th and 2 from the Jags' 12-yard line. Tim Couch steps back and drills a pass to Quincy Morgan. He bobbles it but secures the catch. The officials rule it complete. First down, Cleveland. Incredible concentration to keep that drive alive. Chains move. Couch sprints the offense to the line and spikes the ball to kill the clock with 48 seconds remaining. Suddenly, referee Terry McCauley's pager goes off. The replay booth wants a second look at the catch. The issue? You legally cannot review a play once the next snap has occurred. The spike was a play. It had already happened. Going back 2 plays is impossible. But McCauley claims the buzzer rang in time. The dog pound gets agitated as he trots to the monitor. After what felt like forever, he comes back and detonates the game. The catch is overturned. Turnover on downs. Jaguars take over. After review, the pass is incomplete. First down, Jacksonville. In the entire history of the replay system, Gus, nobody has ever seen them rewind past a completed play like that. Then, total anarchy broke loose. The stands emptied their contents, beer, plastic, garbage, turning the gridiron into a hazardous landfill. Here is the kicker. Cleveland actually snapped the ball and ran a whole new play, only for the Zebras to hit rewind and review something from 2 downs ago. Despite 48 seconds remaining on the timer, the officials called it quits, sending players sprinting for the locker rooms to dodge the falling debris. You cannot make this up. They literally ended the contest early, just wrapped it up with nearly a minute of regulation left to play. But the league office was having none of it. Commissioner Paul Tagliabue got on the horn and forced everyone back onto the field 20 minutes later to finish the job. Jacksonville took 2 knees, cementing a 15-10 victory, while the dog pound got yet another harsh lesson in the misery of rooting for Cleveland. Now, usually the Chiefs get all the lucky breaks, but even they are not safe from officiating disasters. Flashback to the 2018 postseason against Tennessee. We are halfway through the 3rd frame when Marcus Mariota steps back to pass. Derek Johnson flies in like a missile, obliterating the quarterback and jarring the rock loose. Kansas City recovers, the crowd goes wild, and then buzzkill. The refs claim the play was already dead. The excuse? Forward progress, which makes 0 sense on a sack, leaving even the TV commentators completely baffled. They claimed Mariota was down by contact, ignoring the fact that the football was clearly loose before the whistle blew. Tape confirmed he was moving backward the whole time, but thanks to a loophole in the rulebook, forward progress calls are unreviewable. Tennessee kept possession, and the absurdity escalated. With the Titans leading 22-21, Mariota gets smacked again during a 2-point conversion attempt. The pigskin comes out, the Chiefs scoop it up, and run it all the way back for what should have been 2 huge points. But nope, whistle blows, forward progress again. The fans thought they scored, but the officials killed the play prematurely for the 2nd time. Same exact excuse from the same referee, Jeff Triplett. It is mind-boggling to call a play dead when the guy is still standing, especially on a clean sack. Post-game, Coach Andy Reid was fuming, though he tried to bite his tongue. He basically said, "If I speak my mind about those stripes, I'm going to get fined, so I'm keeping my mouth shut." It wasn't just him. Even Mike Pereira, the former VP of officiating, straight up called the performance horrible. Calling forward progress when a quarterback gets flattened and coughs up the ball? That is unheard of in professional football. Adding to the weirdness, news broke the very next day that Triplett, who hadn't worked a playoff game in 3 years, was retiring immediately. Talk about awful timing. Instead of a classic night at Arrowhead, history remembers this strictly as the forward progress game. Phantom calls, premature whistles, and a season flushed down the drain thanks to terrible officiating. It is scary how one yellow cloth or a bad split-second choice can completely alter history and crush the souls of an entire fan base. If you dug this story, stick around with NFL Facts, smash that subscribe button, and peep our other videos right here.